We are back with more of what's happening. What's happening as well, a good night's sleep. Did you sleep well last night? Well, our next guest is going to talk about that. Joining us on the program today from Kaiser Permanente is Dr. Wendy Calling, a repeat visitor on the program. Welcome back, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you with us. You're in primary care and you work out of the Mission Viejo office right down the street from us here. You were on once before, but real briefly, just kind of bring us up to date, your background, where you studied medicine.
Yes, I'm from Virginia. I went to medical school and did my residency at Eastern Virginia Medical School.
Okay.
And then practiced as a hospitalist out there, primarily in the hospital for a couple years, and then found my way here, and I'm working as an outpatient primary care doctor now, have been for the last few years.
That's great. So you help lots of people with all kinds of issues, family practices.
Yes.
Primary care covers the board, you know, from little people to big people to old people to lots of things in between. Our topic today is sleep issues. And I guess a lot of people are saying, 8 hours of sleep is what they used to always say everybody needs. But let's talk about that. Some people are just fatigued. They just seem tired maybe occasionally or all the time. That could indicate a sleep disorder.
Sure. There's a few things that you can see, you can think about as to whether you may actually have a problem with your sleep. If you find yourself irritable or sleepy all of the time, almost all throughout the day, if you find that when you're sitting and reading a book or watching TV, you doze off easily, if you come close to falling asleep or have fallen asleep while you're driving a car, then that's certainly a red flag. If you have trouble concentrating because of your sleep issues, then that can certainly indicate a problem. If you find yourself having trouble concentrating, or people are always telling you, gosh, you look really tired, you look really tired. If you if you're having trouble with depression, that seems like it's related to your sleep, that could be a problem. Couple other things that can be specific for certain problems is if you're snoring real loud or have gaps in your breathing while you're sleeping, or if you constantly feel like you need to move while you're trying to fall asleep. You need to move your legs around or your arms to try to get comfortable.
So the first of those is what they call sleep apnea, the stopping of breathing.
Yes, yeah.
And then the restless leg syndrome is like you want to run, I guess, when you're in bed.
Exactly.
Which is hard to do, hard to run in bed very effectively there. Okay, let's talk about some of the things people might want to do about that. If maybe they want to just go to bed earlier. Would that help?
Not necessarily. We call it sleep hygiene. There's a lot of things you can do to tweak your lifestyle to try to improve your sleep habits. And the first one's probably getting regular exercise. It's so important to get exercise during the day. It helps you sleep deeper. It helps you get better quality sleep and feel more refreshed when you wake up. So regular exercise is a primary component of good sleep. A second thing is really limiting your caffeine. 1 or 2 caffeinated beverages a day or less. And a lot of people think they can have caffeine into later in the day. I'm a coffee fan too, but you still got to limit it. Can have caffeine later in the day, but the reality is you shouldn't have, if you're having trouble with sleep, you shouldn't have caffeine after lunchtime. You also need to limit alcohol. A lot of people think alcohol, it makes me fall asleep. It must be a great sleep thing. But the reality is it can actually make your sleep more broken, poorer sleep, more likely to wake up in the middle of the night and feeling less refreshed. So if you are having sleep issues, you should really try to avoid alcohol those last 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed.
You mentioned exercise. How close to sleep time should we exercise? Take the dog for a walk at 10, go to bed at 10:15?
It depends. Most people can't do that. There's an occasional person that can do a good workout that during those last couple hours. Most people can't. Most people should try to exercise early afternoon or earlier in the day so that they'll still be able to sleep.
Right. What about the old adage, a glass of warm milk?
Sometimes that can help, and sometimes people find decaffeinated tea can help. Really creating that environment as you get as bedtime approaches, that last hour, hour and a half is a crucial time where you need to create a nice, relaxing, almost make your home a spa type thing, where you're going to read a nice, relaxing book, you're going to watch a nice, relaxing TV show. This is not the time to discuss family stress. This is not the time to go over your finances. This is not the time to read self-help books. This is time to read a book that takes you away to a nice, relaxing place.
So watching a violent political debate on one of the TV talk shows would not be...
Probably isn't.
What about TV in the bedroom? Some people swear by that. Some people say I would never have a TV in my bedroom.
The general recommendations are don't watch TV in bed. So when I say relax, this should be out in the family room, a nice relaxing, something that kind of helps you relax. And then you go into your bedroom. You want your bedroom to be dimly lit. You want your bedroom to be nice and quiet. If you have a bed partner that is noisy or moves around a lot in bed, you may need to find a temporary change where you perhaps sleep separately until you can work through some of these sleep habits.
Or earplugs.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What about napping? I know some famous people. I know Winston Churchill was notorious for having to, A, having a cocktail at lunch, but B, having to take a nap in the afternoon. He was out, then he could work till 11 o'clock at night. Robert Kennedy allegedly would take a nap while you were on hold on the phone, and when you came back, he was awake. Some famous people have that ability. What about napping and periodic breaks?
There's not a definite rule about napping. Sometimes, for some people who struggle with significant sleep problems, napping can be a sign of that sleep problem. You know, they're so tired during the day that they're napping. So in that case, it's actually more of a problem. But for some people, particularly as we age, napping can actually be very good. As we age, we actually need more sleep, but our sleep is more broken, and we don't sleep as well. So you may find that as you age, you only can sleep 5, 6, maybe 7 hours during the night. But to really have a nice, refreshing day, you need to have that hour and a half nap in the afternoon. And the key is to kind of keep some structure in it. So a nap doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It can actually be a very good, healthy sign of your regular routine. But you do kind of need to have that regular routine. If it's that you're just dozing off all the time, you really need to try to structure it a little more.
All right. We hear about sleep apnea. How do you differentiate between someone who snores and someone who has a medical problem?
Yeah. So snoring is extremely common. It can be based on how your neck is formed, how your throat's formed. Sometimes if you're a little overweight, it can increase snoring if you have trouble with allergies. When you start to see that it's becoming more of an issue, something that's more of a problem, is somebody may have witnessed you actually gasping for air while you sleep. Instead of just the snoring, you take breaks in breathing, and then you kind of gasp for air. Another sign of obstructive sleep apnea is that you have excessive daytime fatigue. So if you are having this gasping, if you are having excessive daytime fatigue, it's definitely something you want to see your doctor, because you may need a formal sleep study in this case.
And that's one of those deals where they actually watch you sleep?
Well, it depends. There are some sleep studies where you go actually stay in a building, and they will monitor you. They monitor your oxygen levels, particularly during the night, and do some other testing to kind of see how you're sleeping. Sometimes now, and we can do it here at Kaiser Permanente, is we will actually have a home kit that you can take, so you don't actually have to sleep in a different facility. You can still sleep in the comfort of your own home, and we can help monitor to see if you do.
Some people can't go to sleep even in a motel or on a cruise ship, so they might do better sleeping at least.
Exactly.
At least you get a normal reading at home.
Exactly.
We hear about something called a CPAP machine. That's one of the treatments, I understand. That's a machine that pumps air into the person?
Yeah, so it's basically continuous positive pressure, so it's continually giving you air during the night, because what we find is that some of the people with obstructive sleep apnea, their soft tissue actually a little bit collapses down on itself. So if you can actually put some pressure, air in through there, you're going to allow them to not have those gaps in breathing, get more continuous.
I also understand that for some people who can't get used to having a device on their face, there's a dental product that can be possibly help fill that same need, so to speak.
Exactly, and because some of it is due to collapsing of the soft tissue, there can be some dental appliances, and even extreme surgeries, they do surgery to help change that. For milder symptoms, repositioning, unique pillows, weight loss, those can be very helpful strategies as well.
We talked about sleep apnea. Let's talk about the restless leg. What do you do for that?
Yeah, it's a tricky problem. People get a feeling that they've got something creeping up their legs or tingling sensation in their legs, and they just can't get to sleep. They feel like the only relief they can get is through moving. Some simple things you can start off with. There are similar things that we talked about with the trying to fall asleep. You can try to decrease the caffeine. You can try to decrease the alcohol, get regular exercise. Now, if those don't work, there are several medications that your doctor could work with you on to help get some relief from these symptoms.
We're running out of time, but real quickly, can you get too much sleep?
Too much sleep can often be an indication of something else going on, like depression or another medical condition. So too much sleep, if you're feeling sick or something like that, but continuously getting too much sleep, you probably need to contact your doctor.
Some people just think, well, I need 9 hours or I need 10 hours.
And if for one person, if they're regular, if all their life they've been a 9-hour sleep person and that's what leaves them refreshed and healthy, then yes, that's okay.
And finally, for a lot of folks who work and have a regular full-time job, they're used to getting up at 4:30 or 5 or 6 in the morning. When they retire, unless they have an early morning tennis match or golf game or bridge tournament, they'd like to sleep in. Can you retrain yourself on your hours?
Certainly, you can retrain yourself. You can kind of do a shift, just like you do if you change time zones, you may have to kind of shift your time. And that's okay. The key is to building a regular routine with sleep, because sporadic sleep habits are going to leave you fatigued and not in as good a shape.
So great information on sleep. Dr. Colling, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Sleep issues, something that a lot of people are dealing with, and if you want to find out more about that or anything else, be sure and get hooked up with the good folks at Kaiser Permanente. Lots of good medical help over there, and lots of good programs they have for you as well. We'll be coming back with more right after this.